So I kind of wanted to go over what I used to braze the AC lines for the vintage year system that we're putting in the 79. So I went with this MUGGY WELD silver solder. Using this, you have to make sure all your parts are really clean. So got a little bit of steel wool and cleaned those parts as well as I could. I also used a little bit of solvent afterward just to remove all the oils that may be present on the parts themselves. All the fittings I got from Summit Racing, they're all stainless steel. They're actually from Vintage Air themselves. These are not part of the kit when you order your Vintage Air system. These are made for hardline fittings. So I went ahead and ordered all the fittings that I would need, not just for the AC, but also for the heater core as well. Here are a few of the part numbers. Here I'm just going to go ahead and dry fit. So I'm putting all the parts, the stainless parts on the system so that I can take all my pre-bent, everything that I bent before, and just set them in there. I don't want them to be tight. I don't want them to bind. So this is a good way to make sure everything fits perfectly before you go into final solder. So there was a little bit of adjustment that I needed to do on the canister itself, but everything fit very well, which is a result of just having a little bit of patience and taking your time when you're doing the pre-bends. I just used a piece of welding rod and pre-bent everything before I started getting into bending the tubing itself. Once I had the tubing and fittings mocked up and exactly where I wanted them, I went ahead and pulled them and set up my jig to start my solder. So I heat the fitting before anything and get it to a nice rose type color before adding the flux that is already on the rod itself. Once it got up to temperature, which is about 1100 degrees I believe, that's when I went ahead and started adding the rod, and with enough flux it just pulls it right in. And these are pretty big fittings, so it took a little bit more rod. I used a brick here to limit the heat loss during the process. Here you can see the result. I mean, after you clean it off with a wire brush, the result is pretty impressive. I mean, I don't know what I'm doing. This is my first time using it, so it came out pretty good. Here I'm just adding the O-rings, a little bit of lube on the O-rings, and doing the final install. Everything went in really smooth. I'm very happy with the results. It wasn't as difficult as I anticipated, but I can see where it could be a little bit difficult. Again, a little bit of patience, taking your time goes a long way and helps in the final result. I'm not an AC guy. I'm not a mechanic. Again, I don't know what I'm doing. This is all my first time, so if I can do it, anybody can do it. You can TIG weld the fittings on, but this silver solder, this stuff really worked, so I'm pretty happy.